welcome everyone. Thanks for everyone for being here today. So we're going to be talking about some more TikTok stuff. So I want to be talking about a variety of different stuff here. A bit more of an advanced session here. So if you've attended any of my previous masterclasses, then you know that I've spent quite a bit of time things like dissecting the algorithm, telling you guys a bit of the reality of the platform, breaking down certain things in this kind of winner takes all kind of era that we're at in TikToks. But today, what I want to do in general is skip over some of the introductory stuff. Like I was explaining to Michael that, there's going to be some stuff here that's going to be relevant for all levels. But generally speaking, I want to keep this a bit more advanced here, talking about moving past some of the media buying dashboard, stepping more into the higher operational kind of things, and breaking down essentially how to stop relying purely on just volatile discovery and feeding traffic instead into more of a high intent search through essentially TikTok Shop SEO. Okay, so looking at TikTok a bit more from, I want to say, a bit more of a Google lens in that aspect, where people are actively looking for purchases, for instance, on TikTok. We're going to be rebuilding overall ideas for rebuilding your catalog, for improving average order value, as this is something I think is fundamental that a lot of brands tend to miss out on or skip over somewhat. Talking a bit more about the logistical blueprint required to survive, especially when you're going viral, for instance. We've talked a lot about how to actually go viral, what are certain things we can do to actually get eyeballs on our account. But I want to actually speak a bit as well about what do we do if we get to that stage, because this is something that obviously all of us are aiming for, and hopefully we should be getting to as well. And then using TikTok, I want to actually have a bit more of a fundamental, give you guys a bit of a game plan in terms of how to look at TikTok in a certain different way, where TikTok is, you're looking at it more as a pillar for your business as opposed to the be all and end all, I think is the phrase. Talking a bit more about that with regards to the arbitrage. And finally, I know that we've skipped over this previously, so I do want to actually dedicate some time to actually talking about TikTok lives. This is a very important part of TikTok, which we haven't covered at all up to now in previous masterclasses. So without let's get on to the presentation. Like I say, if for anyone who's just joining, by the way, if you've got any questions throughout with regards to the topic at hand, please do interrupt me and just ask your question. If not, there'll be some time for Q&A as well. I want to actually leave some time for Q&A and get on to this. So first things first, we're going to talk about TikTok Shop SEO. Okay, so let's talk a bit about a certain truth with regards to TikTok current sales. So yes, we do want to be getting as many eyeballs as possible onto content, through lives, make viral videos, good quality videos to get strangers, new people, new customers onto our brand. Okay. And if you're but one thing I do want to point out, if you're getting in general, I think it's roughly around 50% in terms of, if most of your sales, 50% plus of your sales in general are coming from essentially your static product cards. For anyone who doesn't know what this is what I'm talking about here. So people directly going onto your supplement, your product card, essentially, whatever it is that you're selling. Then overall, you do have a bit of a problem. Okay, we've talked a lot about different ways of being able to get people onto your product through good quality content, okay, through improving the content strategy, etc. But I do want to dedicate some time into how we can go about optimizing this as well, because this is something that can be I've seen somewhat overlooked. At the end of the day, we are still running a business. We're still using TikTok to promote our business. So we need to obviously be presenting our products, our brand in the best light possible, because there are still people, even if it's a small amount, should I say, that literally go on to literally search on TikTok more like an SEO platform, like a Google platform, where they're actively looking for the product. So these are high primed customers. So we do want to have stack the cards as well in our favor in order to be able to convert some of those leads. So this is what I want to cover a bit here, because like I say, this is something that is very much overlooked with some people, with some brands. However, we need to understand that some of the younger generations, some of the younger generation, like Gen Z, some millennials or younger generations even, essentially are using TikTok a bit more like a Google platform as well. Okay, so we need to keep that at the back of the mind. This is, like I say, the content strategy that we've talked about in previous masterclasses. I would still say that's a priority. If you have to only have time to get one thing right, certainly focus on that. But don't neglect this either, because people are still searching on TikTok like a Google search engine. Instead of going on Google, for instance, instead of typing something like skincare products to make, I don't know, my face shine, they're literally just going on TikTok instead, looking for the certain routine, certain demos. So look, they want to actually, for the ones that are actually primed to look for that kind of content, they're literally looking for some. Basically, TikTok's a much more of a visual platform, so it can certainly give them more of what they're looking for. So this is something that we do want to get right, okay? And this, in terms of improving the SEO aspect for TikTok, this comes down to various different pillars, I want to say. One of the first ones being the product title. So to optimize the product cards, we firstly need to look into this. There's one mistake that I see a lot of brands do. They I don't want to point anyone out actually, but basically what a lot of brands I see do is they've got a listing available on Amazon and they essentially download all of the copywriting, the images, etc. They just plug it straight into TikTok, thinking that's going to work. TikTok's a bit different. I wouldn't recommend going down that route. It just comes across as just less professional. It comes across as if you're paying. You're not giving the TikTok audience what they deserve. They're looking for something that is scroll stopping. But in terms of search intent, one quick way of going about this is basically don't copy and paste a simple product title, listing, whatever. You need to be putting a bit more effort into this, okay? This is what I mean, okay? So I've got a couple of examples here, okay? I don't think I need to make this an interactive exercise. I think it's pretty clear from what I'm going to tell you what is, good and what is bad. But basically, I've got an example here of a bad product listing here and a good one right here. I know if you've been to some of my other masterclasses, I know I keep talking about Goalie quite a bit, but essentially they've set out the blueprint for TikTok. So certainly keep them in mind in terms of who to actually look at for inspiration. But in terms of the product title itself, this is clearly an example of a bad title. Why? Several reasons. Okay. So firstly, I don't know why the meta thing here, why that's there. This is clearly an example of someone essentially just downloading whatever title they have for whatever platform that presumably feeds into their meta ads, and very limited information here. I don't really know what any of this is. This is someone, maybe this supplement potentially could be useful for me. I don't know, but I don't really know that. This is presumably the brand name, Ablabs. I don't know, that's complicated by the looks of it. 300,000 SPU. Like, I don't even know what that means. Capsules. So like, do you get what I'm saying? This is very limited information. What we're trying to do here when we're optimizing our listings, we want to make this as idiot proof as possible. We want to be not just including essentially the bare minimum in terms of product titles, in terms of what the product is, but trying to add certain other things, like in certain occasions, certain benefits, what the product actually does, certain other features about it. This, on the other hand, is a good example of how we should be going about this. And all of this is to improve search-based intent. If I'm looking, for instance, for a supplement on TikTok, if I wanted some sort of this is perfectly primed to do it. It tells you exactly what it is. This is the brand name right here. It tells you it's apple cider vinegar, ashwagandha, KSM 66. This is, or whatever that is, prebiotics. Essentially, this is what it does. This is what it is. And then they've got certain other features associated with it as well. It's vegan, it's gluten-free, it's non-GMO. These are the kind of things a lot of people are typing on, especially, for instance, in the supplement game. There are a lot of people out there that, health conscious and all. They want something that's vegan, gluten-free, etc. These are the kind of things people are typing in. So this can be the difference in terms of the product actually showing up at the top of the TikTok page. Think of it like a Google page. Is it on page 1 or is it on page 2? Same thing with TikTok. Is it higher up or lower? This can certainly make a difference. Obviously, this goes on as well into the description as well. We want to have as many high useful keywords as possible in the description, but the actual title is a good way to start with this, okay? So don't neglect this. Certainly have something optimized. You can use AI, whatever, but to improve your title, to get this as primed as possible. But what I'm getting at is have something that is well thought out, so that it actually looks professional, it actually grabs search-based intent. This is essentially what we're going for here, okay? Because like this, yeah, but I think I'll stop yapping with that, but basically that could be a lot better. Secondly, so in terms of further SEO optimization, this is something, another thing that I've seen a lot of brands miss out on: backend, improving the backend categories and attributes that they tag for their products. Okay, so when you list a product on Seller Center, they a lot of brands just let TikTok just automatically just automate essentially the category that the product should belong in. And what this does typically is that TikTok essentially, generally speaking, throws the product into a certain bucket. So let me give you a certain example. If you're working with a clothing brand, for instance, let's say you've got something like I don't know, compression socks or something. You've got some sort of socks, whatever. You let TikTok throw into the clothing section, then what is going to happen when you do this? You immediately are essentially competing against massive multi-billion dollar corporations, whatever giants that are already positioned on TikTok. To be able to improve search-based intent with this, please get as specific as possible. I know some of the things, that I'm mentioning here, at least for this section, seems kind of obvious for some people, but honestly, you'd be surprised with how many brands actually do neglect this, that they overlook this. But please have it as specific as possible. Literally manually drill down into the deepest, most specific subcategory that you can actually have. Like I say, for instance, if you're using compression socks, for instance, as an example, just something that's come to mind for some reason, go into activewear, then go down into accessories, then drill further down into the smallest subcategory you can go into, compression socks, for instance. If obviously your category isn't there available, then keep drilling down to the closest, most relevant one possible, but basically drill down as close as possible, because this is what happens. Someone's searching for a certain product, certain thing on TikTok, and there is a certain filter section on TikTok. So this is where it comes into play. If you're just lumped into a clothing category, then most likely your videos, the product is not going to show up higher up on the TikTok page. This is what we're trying to optimize towards, to get it primed for actually readily available customers. This is what we're trying to do, okay? The biggest trap where brand owners basically lose money is just leaving these attributes just these attributes block blank. It feels tedious. So like I say, I think like a crazy amount of sellers, I can't remember in terms of percentage, but a crazy amount of these leave this empty. Like I say, it's a bit of a mistake, because on TikTok, you can filter as well. You can get very specific with it. You can filter down to certain sizes, certain ingredients. This isn't something that a lot of people know about, because maybe they're not so primed with how to navigate the FYP page very well. But Gen Z, I think it's Gen Alpha, the younger generations, they know how to do this very well, or are primed for this. When they're searching for certain products, they will go through these filters. So certainly get this drilled down as well as possible, okay? Then the third thing I want to mention, bear with a sec. Third thing I want to mention is in terms of SEO, to wrap this up, don't forget to include certain keywords, specific keywords in the actual copywriting, in the videos themselves. Okay, this basically includes specific SEO keywords where people are actively searching for the product directly inside the script itself. Okay, what happens when you upload a video on TikTok? TikTok doesn't just look at the SEO of the product card, of the description of the product itself. It literally looks at the video as well. What TikTok does, it has an automated transcription for every video that is uploaded, and it can even read as well. Some people don't use voiceovers, for instance, so they have, I don't know, some text, some caption or something without a voiceover. TikTok reads all this, okay? So this is just a quick way to improving your SEO, to show up that, to make sure that your products, your brand shows up further up the page than what it can possibly be. So aim to use specific keywords to further promote the product. I'm not saying you need to obviously use this in a strategic way. You don't want to be, for instance, plugging in all the relevant keywords right at the end of a video. You need to be artistic and strategic with it. It needs to feel natural. But what I'm getting at, when you're going through the copywriting of certain videos, just make sure certain things are included. If we're going with, for instance, a supplement thing again, include things like it's vegan, gluten-free, it's non-GM. When I was checking it out, it was non-GMO. This is one of the reasons why I like it. Do you see what I'm saying? So be strategically and smoothly just plugging in keywords so that it improves the search-based intent aspect on TikTok. Okay. Just want to give another couple of examples as well. As you can see, the difference between just this just looks like a bit like a cold, uninformative page here, I would say. And by contrast, this is another great brand as well, Dr. Dent, in terms of TikTok. Whether the product is good or not, I have no idea. I've personally never tried it, but these guys are certainly crushing it with TikTok. So please take into account what they do for when it comes to SEO, when it comes to their branding, in terms of other stuff as well. This is another good example if you need certain ideas for improving your listing, your images, etc. So I think there's certain value in giving you certain examples so that you know what to actually take inspiration from. But by contrast, this looks rather cold, like magnesium glycinate. Okay, good. It's very specific, but this looks like the kind of thing which might just be specifically downloaded from an Amazon listing or something. Could be further refined. In terms of the images as well, there's, to me at least, I see a kind of a night and day difference. I don't want to get too bogged down in terms of the improvement of the images, because I think we've covered that in previous masterclasses. But do you see the difference, right, in terms of the effort? There's a reason these guys have only sold 55, and these guys, I think, hundreds of thousands at this point. The branding colors, it's got this kind of coolish font that it kind of is scroll stopping in that aspect. Every single small aspect of this product here is primed. It's scroll stopping as well, and like I say, it plugs in very well for the SEO aspect on TikTok as well. This is the kind of thing we want to be moving towards. This is essentially what we want to be moving away from. No disrespect to polybiotics, but yeah, certain things could be improved. Next thing I want to cover, what I do want to talk about, is with regards to AOV architecture, essentially strategic bundling. I know that we've handled a bit of this in previous masterclasses. I want to go into slightly more depth here and there with certain things, how to better optimize for certain things, for scaling aspects in particular. We all know that it's very hard to get off the ground with TikTok, though. As we've covered as well previously, costs add up, right? You've got your product, COGS, fees, cost of acquisition, ads. By the time you've put everything together, in a lot of cases, especially for lower ticket items, it can be pretty hard to make a profit. I'm not going to lie to you. TikTok is primed, is very good for making for urgency, for just impulse purchases. But this is one of the issues that a lot of brands struggle with, where even if you do go viral and think it's just free money, you're essentially, like I say, you're paying for a lot of other stuff, commissions, shipping. How much are you paying for commissions for creators, for instance? Well, like 25, 30% sometimes. Sometimes I've seen even more in certain occasions. One of the biggest trap brands fall into, though, is just depending too much on a single low ticket hero product that just costs like $15, $10, $20, whatever it may be, in terms of low ticket items, right? What I'm getting at is that this isn't really a good strategy for scaling profitably, okay? Because, like I said, by the time you're paying out all your commissions, etc., the GMV max ads, covering all expenses, etc., you're just left with just a little, essentially little at the bottom line. Sometimes not even making a profit. So this again. to combat this, best way of going about this is you need to find strategic ways in improving your AOV, okay? So we need to be aiming, if we're one of these brands that's working with, for instance, something like this, I don't know, white teeth white, it's just something low ticket, $12, $20, whatever it can be. We need to find strategic ways in just bundling this up, adding more products to the bundle, selling multiples of the product at once. We need to be actually be pushing these things as much as possible, because otherwise we're going to have a tough time actually being profitable on TikTok if we're just aiming for single order purchases every single time. This is why I wanted to actually talk about this particular brand. Like I say, I want to throw out a bunch of different examples in this presentation here. These guys, I've mentioned them previously, Dr. Malaxin, certainly another big brand that we should all take inspiration from right now. They're doing very well right now. Don't know if the product is good, by the way. Again, I've personally never tried it. Maybe, who knows, maybe I will at some point. But this, what I'm getting at, this is a very good example in terms of what they've been doing to has been working wonders for them. What they essentially do, instead of selling one or just multiple versions of, for instance, this one here, this purple one, pink purple one, whatever it is, what they've done is just bundled a bunch of things together. They put in so essentially in a box you're getting a £60, which is like how much, $80 or something, $80 worth of this product. And just think about it psychologically, how much of a good deal this could potentially be for people that are essentially in the skincare market. You know, you're not just getting this thing, who knows, maybe that's for the cheeks, maybe this is for, I don't know, another aspect of the face, maybe another thing is for the hair, I don't know. But basically you're getting a bunch of different products all in one, the different bottles, the different stuff. It looks like basically a steal. And one of the benefits of this is that not just because you're improving the AOV, but just the fact that you're saying this looks like such a good offer, that the offer itself has the capacity just to go viral on its own. Simply the fact that you're just selling this box with this amount of value, where essentially in the videos and the content strategy aspect, you don't really need to do too much, really. You can just say, is this at this price? Get it, essentially play an urgency kind of game. You can get it at this price. I've seen a lot of brands be successful on just the offer alone. So this is what I'm trying to get at. When you're be strategic in the way you're bundling certain products. Think about it psychologically, how you would you buy this? A lot of people in the skincare game, like I say, would certainly consider something if they're getting this much value out of something. And like I say, one of the hidden benefits is when you do go viral, it's just basically it's a very attractive bundle. It's a very visual way of essentially, you can just show the box and just go viral just that way. I'm not saying this is going to be the case for everyone, but it certainly helps to stack the cards in your favor going about it this way. If you work with, for instance, energy drinks, you know, I've seen certain brands, for instance, with energy drinks, instead of selling just the one, for instance, they'll have like a whole box of like 6, 12, whatever. Do you see what I'm getting at? It just looks like so much more value that you're getting. Obviously, price it accurately, but you still want to give this illusion that you're offering a significant value. That's what you're trying to get at with TikTok. We're still trying to impulse buy constantly. And that brings me on, obviously, to what I was just mentioning previously in terms of another good example of a previous brand. Goli, again, is a great example of how they actually set out the blueprint for this. For anyone who doesn't know, Goli is like I say, it's a supplement brand. They sell ashwagandha, basically a bunch of supplements to improve your digestion, health, whatever. Okay. The way they've gone about upselling to improve their AOV, one strategic way they went about it is, instead of selling the one bottle, they sell multiple bottles at the same time, with basically the copyright and the sales strategy being that, because sometimes with supplements it can take a bit of time to see if there are certain effects, if it's actually being useful or not, the product. The way they've sold it, essentially they give 90 days in one, and the way they sell it is it can take some time in order to actually feel the effects of the product. But by having 90 days of supply here, this is plenty of time for you to actually figure out if it's going to work for you or not. Do you see what I'm getting at here? As in, you have to be creative in the way you're actually going to be going to improve your AOV. Get creative with it. Customers aren't stupid, so you need to think about it. What would convince you to purchase something, and what would convince you to purchase some multiple versions of the product, or various different products within a bundle? Think about it psychologically. What would be most appealing to you, and apply it. Like I say, in the supplement game, Goalie really showed a really great way of going about this, because that, to me, that made sense. When I first saw that, I was like, okay, I think in a month, I'm not sure if I'm going to see the effects, but if I can get like 3 months supply for the price of 1 month, that's a no-brainer to me. If I'm kind of on the fence, that's going to push me over the edge. This is the kind of positioning we want to actually be thinking about constantly when we're actually doing creating bundles, creating offers on TikTok. Okay. And very finally, when it comes to this, so when you're doing the maths with this, I've worked with some brands previously when they've just done like this kind of single product kind of offer. Generally speaking, I know I'm generalizing somewhat here, but it's a tough game to play. If my previous examples weren't hitting home enough, just do the maths on this. Think about how much you're spending on creators. Maybe you're even paying retainers, who knows? But you're paying commission rates, you're paying GMV max, you're paying a bunch of different all these things all in one. At the end, it's not easy to make actually a profit on that. If you are looking to make a profit, which hopefully a lot of you guys are, then the maths just makes sense. Instead of just purchasing one, instead of a customer purchasing one, you get more out of every dollar that you're investing in the marketing itself. So if what I previously mentioned hasn't hit home, hopefully this helps to illustrate it a bit further. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is managing essentially virality on TikTok. By the way, if anyone's got any questions with previous slides, whatever, feel free to let me know. For anyone who's just joining, if not, that no problem. We'll sort of leave certain things for Q&A, just to refresh on that point, since we may or may not have new people here. But we've spoken a lot about in previous masterclasses, okay, in terms of how to get views, how to get eyeballs, etc. But what do we actually do when we go viral? What do we do when we're getting a 100K view video, a million view video, etc.? Because it can happen. I know a lot of us, for instance, were struggling to actually get, in certain cases, a video past 10K, for instance, or there are little wins that we have to achieve here and there before actually achieving something significant. But excuse me, some of us may already be in that situation where we're actually getting some views, we're actually getting our first few wins on TikTok. So I want to cover this a bit here. And seeing a dashboard just generate, say, 5,000 orders in a 24-hour period, I know it can seem like a dream for a lot of brands, but if you don't handle this properly, okay, this can cause a lot of problems with your business. So this is why I want to focus on this, okay? I want to basically catch that problem before it potentially arises, okay? This is the objective of this part of this presentation. Because what TikTok wants to do is become as reliable as Amazon, okay? This is one of TikTok's aims. There is a point to what I'm mentioning here, okay? So TikTok, as a result, they are being notorious when it comes down to things like their shop performance score, things like their SPS score, for anyone who uses that term, that everything is shipping out on time. If you fail to meet a certain 3-day fulfillment window, TikTok can punish you, for instance. They throw out certain violations, they prevent affiliate outreach. There's a bunch of stuff that they can throw at you. And this, bottom line, this kills momentum. So this is what I mean by TikTok being ruthless about it. They're being very difficult in this sense with the sellers. They want very reliable sellers, approaching it very much from the customer is always right kind of attitude, because they're not going to achieve their goal of becoming that reliable top-end platform like Amazon if they're obviously second best. They need to be ruthless about this, and they certainly are when it comes to sellers. I've seen a lot of people, for instance, in certain cases, especially at the beginning, for instance, I've seen TikTok, for instance, throughout these affiliate violations, or where you're not able to send out affiliate messages, whatever, when it's not really clear what the reason is, and you really need to dig in, because maybe you're not able to see your SPS score initially because you haven't achieved a certain amount of trust with TikTok. So what I'm getting at is you need to be very, very do your due diligence when it comes to TikTok in terms of the supply chain, in terms of the orders that are being plugged through. If you have, so this is which brings me onto the viral spike here. If you have a viral video, and you are thrown with some of these problems out there, like an affiliate problem, whatever. At bottom line, you're not going to be able to capitalize on this momentum that you've been working towards this whole time, and this is going to be probably ongoing for several days, if not weeks, maybe even longer in certain cases. And all it takes is just a few bad orders to get a violation. And for anyone who hasn't worked with TikTok support already, when you've got a certain issue, you don't know what it is, you go to TikTok support. I personally haven't had a very good experience with them. I know some people have had better experiences, but basically TikTok support can be very difficult, can be quite useless at times. So it is literally a lot better to go out of stock, I would say, lose some of those sales than to get one of these violations and basically having to start from zero in a lot of cases. To protect yourself when it comes to this, I would recommend having this kind of multi-warehouse buffer. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend syncing absolutely all of your physical inventory to your TikTok seller center dashboard. Okay, what I would personally recommend is, for instance, if you have, say, I don't know, 10,000 units of a certain product in your warehouse, I would recommend listing out a smaller amount. Okay, list out 6,000, 7,000 instead. Having this strategic buffer basically gives your supply chain just a more of a manageable ceiling to fulfill before you manually release the next batch, for instance. Okay. And breaking down the metrics for this, if your shipments, for instance, are late, if you've got a late shipment rate that ticks, for instance, above what is it? I think it's around 3-4% in a 7-day window, then TikTok can apply these things like negative seller points, where essentially there is a certain metric of amount of seller points that you're able to withstand. The more you accumulate, the more problems you have. I think it's like a 12, if I recall correctly, I think it's a 24-point window where if you hit 12 points, for instance, you can be hit with something like a 50 order per day volume ceiling. And if we go viral, this is going to you're going to be very much capped. So you're going to have a bit of a problem. You're not going to be able to capitalize on all that demand. If you hit a 24-point window, yeah, your account can pretty much become completely deactivated, and basically your organic traffic just gets choked to zero. So please don't mess this up. I've seen this happen time and time again where a lot of brands neglect this. They think, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll worry about the virality when it happens. Yeah, please don't do that. Have a certain plan in place before any of this happens, because believe me, if this goes wrong, I don't want to be, a negative Nancy. I don't want to be too negative about this. It is great when we go viral, but it really does hurt when you've got something that's working, basically, and then you just can't capitalize on the demand. It sometimes can hurt even more than not having success at all. Believe me, I've seen some horror stories when it comes to this. If you do go viral, though, and I want to give some, as a result, I do want to actually give some game plans, some strategies here when this does happen. Okay, I want to give you guys some game here. Okay, if you are going viral, you've got, let's say, 1 million view video, you've got a 6 million view video. It can happen. Like I say, I know some of us are maybe at the beginning stages, but it can certainly happen. And boom, all of a sudden you've got a product that is very much looking on good trajectory on TikTok. If you get a highly viral product like this and you're just, let's say you're unable to fulfill all of the orders, you've looked into your catalog, you've looked into the logistics and so forth, and you figure out, okay, this is going to be a bit of an issue. I've got all of these sales. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fulfill it. What you can do, I would personally recommend at this point, adjust that. There's a certain thing, the pre-order tool setting, adjust to that. Okay, so toggle that setting so that it moves more towards pre-orders. Okay. So the moment that you see, for instance, a video clearing more orders than what your team can pack, just toggle this feature on and it can extend your required shipping window from, say, 3 days to 7 days to 14 days, 30 days, whatever it can be. What this does basically is buys you time for your fulfillment process so that you can actually complete everything according to TikTok's rules, guidelines that protects your health score. Please always keep in mind your health score, your shop performance score on TikTok. This is very important. I know some people might say to me, well, I don't really want to do pre-orders because I'm going to miss out on certain sales. Yeah, that's probably going to happen. I'm not going to lie to you. If you see a pre-order thing, there's a lot of people that you're probably losing out on customers. I'm not going to lie to you, but it is a lot better to lose out on a few of those customers and still have some coming in and protecting yourself at the same time than essentially being hit with one of these violations. It can go on for, I think, last person I saw with this, I think it went on for like 60 days or something. Basically, downtime of 60 days. Basically, your product doesn't exist on TikTok as far as TikTok is concerned, like that. And it's, yeah, not easy, not easy to handle one of those issues. But so what I'm getting at, tag on the pre-order tool if you get into a situation where you're not sure. It's a lot easier to actually handle it this way, miss out on some customers, than to handle the other route. Okay, it will save you so much of a headache. You also must use this please also use a strict shipping carrier routing. Okay, please ensure your operations are utilizing just a reliable warehouse management software. I'm talking about things like I think ShipStation's one of them, ShipBob, Linworks is another one I've previously used. What this does, it integrates perfectly into TikTok, okay, onto your Shopify, onto your backend. And if a tracking number essentially fails to update due to, say, a technical glitch, this is a good way to minimize these certain issues, because if this does actually happen, TikTok just treats it as an unfulfilled order. And regardless whether it's your fault, whether it's a glitch, whatever it can be, yeah, you've got a package essentially that might be stuck or whatever. It will cause problems. This is going to be reflected on you as the brand. This is going to negatively affect your shop performance score. There are 3 pillars to the shop performance score. But essentially, if you're not fulfilling orders at a good rate, regardless of what the reasoning is, the situation, you're going to be attacked. You're going to face the repercussions, and all it takes is one order, especially when you're at beginning stages where you haven't built out a certain level of trust with TikTok. Yeah, you're going to be, all it takes is one order for essentially things to blow up. Okay, so please get this right. Use one of these management softwares. If you've got any other questions on them, afterwards, feel free to send me a message afterwards. I can give you some advice, whatever. But essentially, ShipStation, ShipBob, Linworks are some of the ones that you can check out. I want to talk about now the arbitrage and halo effect. This is one of the things that I think is probably one of the more important parts when it comes to TikTok. Okay. Because once you have your supply chain all built out, once you've got the supply chain all built out, basically all of the most successful brands that I've personally seen on TikTok, they leverage TikTok in a way where it's they look at TikTok more as a pillar for their business as opposed to their entire business, relying on it completely. Okay. What I mean by this, they use TikTok as the creator engine, the creative engine as well. So by creative, I mean the content that's being pushed out. So the videos, the statics, the slideshows, etc. The creator engine being the people that are making the content. Okay. And this is basically what I've seen with multi 7, 8, figure businesses on TikTok, probably some of them 9 figures at this point. All of them are basically doing it this way, where they're not necessarily aiming to be profitable on TikTok, believe it or not. A lot of them are aiming basically to break even. They're happy to pay their their creators a generous amount of money. They're really heavily investing in that to make them as happy, as comfortable as possible, so that they're incentivized to make 10 videos a day, as many videos as possible, because essentially when they get one great video on TikTok, even though it may sell hundreds of thousands, whatever, of sales on just through the one video, and maybe not make any profit, what they can then do with that is leverage that for other purposes. They can use this for their meta. They can use this for their organic strategy. They plug it in. Basically, they've got a top quality organic content. And this is one of the harder things to do. For anyone who's worked with Meta, TikTok, whatever, TikTok generally produces more original content. It's and this is where generally the gold is, the real money is, as opposed to relying on a strategy of essentially copying what's already out there. I've seen with Meta, for instance, with a lot of brands. With TikTok, if you're able to produce high quality original content, it's like if you've got an apple tree, you can really get like 60-70% of the apples from the apple tree, as opposed to, say, you're copying a bunch of content where you only get scraps, you only get the last 10-20%, which still can be a lot of money, but basically you're getting an original content which can then be leveraged onto Meta, onto other platforms, and all of a sudden you've got this content that can do wonders for you in this aspect. And there, like I say, it feeds onto other platforms. These brands, bottom line, they're viewing TikTok through an omni-channel lens. They're looking at TikTok as a pillar for their brand, the creative engine, and then it all feeds into everything else. Like I say, every single day a new creator is going viral, generating millions of views. Instead of spending just all these resources trying to guess what's going to work on Meta, a lot of them just download these highly successful TikTok content, plug it into Meta, boom, all of a sudden you've got a great paid ad. And when it comes to excuse me, when it comes to Amazon, because I know that I've mentioned Amazon as well, it comes into this kind of halo effect. Okay, so Amazon is still looked at the benchmark in generally speaking, I would say, for e-commerce. Okay, it's built up this massive reputation over the decades, building up a bunch of trust. We've got Amazon Prime, obviously, in the West, where very quick delivery like that in one day. This is important to know, because when a video does go viral on TikTok, TikTok hasn't achieved that yet. At least they haven't achieved that same level of trust with Amazon, for instance. So what do a lot of us do when we say we've seen a great video or a great product that we actually want to buy on TikTok with Prime to buy? Maybe we don't have all that experience with TikTok, so we'll go off to Amazon, search for the product on Amazon, buy it on Amazon instead. Do you see the benefit of this as a brand owner, right? This is essentially, in a way, okay, it's kind of like free advertising towards Amazon, where you're not having to pay Amazon ads in that sense, where all of a sudden you're getting this organic traffic going on to Amazon, people purchasing on there because they've seen the product on TikTok. So what I'm getting at is, if you're investing in your TikTok in this way, this is a good way to leverage it for other platforms as well. People will naturally go onto these other platforms. Basically, a lot of these brands are letting TikTok be the creative R&D for their brand, and then it feeds into all of these other platforms organically for other purposes as well. And yeah, basically, the better your TikTok performs, the better your other platforms perform in general. This is why you should use TikTok as just I would recommend using TikTok a bit like a sandbox, like this kind of TikTok, this kind of testing ground, having a bit more of that mentality where you can let the native organic audience basically identify exactly which hooks perform best, proof stacks, what converts attention into revenue, what makes a good body, what are good concepts, good ideas, testing out a bunch of the content, being the sandbox of the business in this sense, where you can then get these statistically proven winning assets, looking at it more as assets as opposed to individual videos that have a certain runtime. Look at it more as assets, invested assets, where you can then move on to other platforms like Meta, use it to search your Amazon revenue. Like I say, using it as your creative R&D makes sense in terms of when you're looking at the metrics from a performative standpoint as well. When you're looking at your blended CAC, all of this starts to come together once you start looking at it that way. Excuse me. Okay, the final thing I want to really point out here that I do want to cover is go on to TikTok lives. Okay, we've spoken a lot on this presentation, on previous presentations about videos. Okay, videos are great. I would say this is still the fundamental, the most common way of achieving success on TikTok, so to speak. But I want to actually provide you guys with an alternative method. Say you're not having success with videos, you're struggling, you want to explore something else. This can certainly be a good way, another alternative that you can explore. Because a lot of brands, I think they don't even know that this exists, which is crazy to me. I mean, I've been on TikTok for a while, so it is what it is for me. But a lot of people aren't aware what TikTok lives are. So I'm going to boil this down to as fundamentally as possible, okay? Because maybe some people in the audience just aren't completely aware either. But basically, if your videos aren't working, like I said, this can be a very profitable alternative. It is a completely different ball game, I want to say, compared to videos, okay? So please keep that in mind. Just because you've got a certain strategy with videos, this doesn't mean this is going to work with lives, okay? This is a different game altogether. I would say it's a bit like, I personally would say it's like, for instance, you're doing something, you're having success with Meta, and then you think you're going to have success with TikTok, right? Not quite the same. They're two different things. Same here. TikTok videos, TikTok lives, two different things as well, okay? What TikTok lives are, I've got a few examples here, okay? What TikTok lives are is basically just a modern, I would say a modern version, a 2026 version of basically modern TV advertising. That's what I would see. Has anyone been on those seen, for instance, I think it's like Good Morning America, Good Morning Britain, where they have these segments of someone talking about a product, and they're basically trying to hard sell it live on TV, or one of those TV channels. I think back in, maybe it still goes on nowadays. I don't know, but you got those channels where people are hard selling a certain product. They've got a platform where they're showing the product, certain versions of the product, showing it in action, etc. That's basically what TikTok Lives is, okay? Instead of phoning up the channel, whatever, to actually purchase the product, the way TikTok Lives works, instead, it has a certain link at the bottom. Like here, certain examples here, where essentially people go onto the product, they click on it, and then it diverts straight into the product card, okay? Straight into in this case, whatever this product is, whatever this light is. And they can purchase it directly there and there. They're able to see the product card exactly how you would normally see it on any other video. And yeah, they can purchase it right there and there. This is a very good way of a very good alternative way in terms of making money on TikTok. There are brands out there making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, just alone on live streams, okay? This is mainly, I would say, I know, some people might tell me, yeah, there are difference. This is not quite right. Okay, there are caveats, there are nuances. After this presentation, there's going to be someone very creative out there on the live game that's going to do lives in a very different way, okay? I understand that. For 80%, 90% of lives, though, this is basically a hard selling, bottom of funnel kind of content. This guy here right now, for instance, he's doing a sort of story, or talking about or showing how good the watch, whatever goes on his wrist, what it symbolizes for him, etc., etc. Do you get what I'm saying? It's this kind of hard selling, bottom of funnel kind of content that they regurgitate over and over and over. Or pretty much a lot of these guys, they have a certain script, that they copied out, they've got on their phone, whatever, and they're reading it. Essentially, it's not obvious, but essentially a lot of them can be reading it over or through a phone for hours at a time. I'm talking the same script, a lot of cases, over and over and over and over and over for hours. Okay. um this is a lot of what a lot of live streams is. And over and over, if you do want to get into this game, then obviously you become more natural with it. You memorize the script, etc. And then you can see messages in real time with lives. Okay, like I say, I'm boiling this down to the very fundamentals of this in case anyone is unfamiliar, just to make my points here on this presentation. What happens on a live? Essentially, you can send messages right there and then on the live. This guy, I don't know what he's saying here really, but essentially you can interact with the live streamer right there and then, and you can attack certain questions, certain hesitations, whatever the customer might have. You'll basically become a representative of the company, where you're doing a sales pitch for them, where you can actively right there and then handle any hesitations, problems like this, hard selling. So this is more of a sales game as opposed to a marketing game, I would personally argue. Okay. Various ways of going about this as well. Go about it with, some of these influencers here, some of these people, they're not massive. They don't have massive followings. A lot of these people, you can play a live game where essentially getting affiliates on board, whatever it is. You don't need to be getting like these hundreds of thousands, million plus subscribers, whatever. You can do very well with these micro influencers of 10k, 20k followers, whatever, and or very new to lives, and essentially hard selling the product like this. This is a great way of going about it. I want to give some examples as well with regards to lives. Okay. Let me do that very briefly here. Hopefully everyone can still see my screen properly. Because I know some people are going to be somewhat unconvinced with live. So I want to really make my point here. I have no dog in this game, by the way. I'm not trying to hard sell you on lives, tell you what to do. All I'm trying to do is present you with options, okay, for your business, what to consider, okay? This is Kalo data, okay? This is a platform where we can view a lot of stats of, top performing products, brands, etc. We've got the shops, creators. Here, we've got videos. Obviously, with videos, this is what we want to be getting for any brand. Getting a 500k plus view video, that's excellent. Everyone wants that. But with lives, you can still make a lot of money. Like, I don't think anyone here is going to say no to 100k plus, right, for a live stream. And lives don't need to be that long either. Some of them obviously do go on quite a bit. I'm not saying that you're going to make 100k whatever from one live stream in an hour, but you can certainly make a lot of money with this. You're going to tell me probably, some of these are exceptional. This is maybe like a week's live, whatever. You can make a lot of money with just on one day. This is 8 hours. This is what, a full day's work, right? Full day's work. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples, obviously, if this permits as well. I think some of these are more of exceptions, but I've seen plenty of lives achieve high figures, hundreds of thousands, 10k plus, whatever, in a single live stream of only a few hours. Okay, here are some examples of some top performing lives. Like some of these brands here, they've got a real setup, I want to say, very sophisticated infrastructure, I want to say, because there's no way you can do like a 120-hour live stream like this on just one go, right? Like, you've got to have certain creators, I'm assuming, taking over. Let's look at a few of these, for instance. This is an 8-hour live stream. Let's have a quick look at this. Let's see if this loads. This is an example of a live stream. We're not able to see everything, hear the audio, obviously, but this is what I mean, okay? You put some thought into the setup, some thought into... a lot of people can do this. It doesn't need to be as complicated as this either. I'm going to give you some certain strategies as well in terms of how to do this on a budget, okay? This looks like it's a bit of a higher budget thing with balloons, with a great background, whatever, okay? This is a very professional live setup, okay? But it's certainly feasible to actually make a lot of money on lives at a modest budget as well. And maybe to improve your sales further, to build up to this in a later sense. This other guy, what is this, 6-hour live? This is very doable, right? A lot of us could certainly do this in our own house, in our own apartment, whatever. Excuse me. Instead of a fancy background, whatever, this guy's got a TV. It's got like a TV with colors, some lights, etc. Clean background. Looks all very clean and somewhat professional. I would say does not to the quality of the other one, but this person has made almost as much money as the other person. Different product. I know the product is going to play a certain effect into it, but still, nonetheless, what I'm getting at is this is very doable for a lot of us, right? We don't necessarily need to be investing in significant budgets to actually make this work, is what I'm getting at. Okay. Food for thought. Okay. And one of the most important things is for this. So I would say one of the most important things with the live, okay, is to have, you want to be having, because we're generally speaking, um, dealing, dealing with more bottom of funnel kind of content, with essentially hard selling in a lot of cases. Um, we want to be coming across as most professional as possible. I would say if you have to go one way, like I said, there's going to be nuances and caveats to this. There's going to be very creative people that is going to make this work on even a very, very, very limited budget. But generally speaking, I would lean towards, if you're starting out, lean towards more of a professional setup, okay? It doesn't need to be as fancy as this. This obviously looks like a bit more of a podcast kind of setup. But put some thought into what it actually looks like. Don't forget, you need to be grabbing attention. This still applies the same rule with TikTok as with videos. You're trying to grab attention, okay? People are scrolling still. They're scrolling through the lives, and they are only going to stop if they see something that catches their eye. How can you do that? Make it as beautiful as possible. I would generally recommend. If you've got some fancy lights, some cool lights, whatever, just a bit of a blue glow, whatever it is, have something in the background. What you don't want to do is basically, if you can see my, I'm not sure if you're able to see me right now, but essentially having a background like this, it looks cheap, right? Obviously this is fine for a presentation here, but if I were doing a live setup, I would put a bit more effort into this. I might have a bit of a glow here down below. I might have like a sticker or a banner or something. Have some crisp lighting. Invest in a bit of lighting. It doesn't need to be expensive. You can get some good enough lights for as cheaply, like I think I've seen like $30, $40. You can get some cheap lights so that it looks like you've put some effort into it, because this really does go a long way into lives. It's a bit more of an effort. It piques the eye, piques the interest, and then after that, obviously, you need to be you need to be getting other stuff right as well. But that's, I would say, the very pillar, the very foundation of it. Get the right live setup, and you don't need to necessarily show your face either. I know a lot of people here, I think, have seen some of the examples I've given here previously, for instance, and on Kalo data. You don't necessarily. I've seen plenty of brands be very successful with just showing the product itself. Okay, they get like an iPhone or whatever, and boom, they're just showing the product on a tripod. Very doable as well. Again, though, make an effort into it. If you're going to go down that route, maybe invest in one of those was it that spinning device, that platform that spins, for instance. Get some good lights. Add a bit of a background with this. For instance, if I had to actually make this into a live setup where I'm not showing the face, for instance, I would have these boxes. These boxes look premium. I would have a variety of different where you can visibly see the different watches here. Maybe have it behind. Maybe have this background behind this massive watch background, and then showing the product in action. Get your wrist, whatever, show the product, show how beautiful it is, show the product in action. Look how crisp it is. Look at the strap. It looks very premium. Do you get what I'm saying? Put some effort into it. You can certainly make that work here. And look at these people here, for instance. They're getting what this means here. This person's got 157 people right there and then on the live. This person's got 284, 263. You can make a lot of sales just on a few people. People are coming and going, but you can certainly make some sales. You certainly get some interest moving forward frequently, just for having a few people, just having as much as little as this, little or as much, however what perspective you want to look at it. The final thing I think I want to mention with regards to lives is, and this is very much a fundamental thing, okay? What you want to do, one of the main strategies when it comes to lives in terms of success with this, It's basically platforms using lives to as a way to show, as an opportunity to offer the best deal possible out of any platform. So on a TikTok live, there's an opportunity for a buyer to purchase the product at the cheapest possible price, cheaper than on Amazon, cheaper than on your website, cheaper than on other videos on TikTok. This is the opportunity for lives here. Like I say, lives is generally speaking primed for customers that have already seen the product. They thought about it here and there, maybe, and they're like, maybe I'll get it later, or maybe get it tomorrow. Someone's birthday's coming up. I'll get it for then. I'll get it then. Do you see what I mean? You're essentially trying to push the customer over the edge, and one of the main ways of going about this is through the price itself. This is what I mean by flash sales, okay? Flash sale is different than what we've covered previously, in the sense that what I would recommend is for the affiliates that you get on board for lives, or people that you get on board, or even if it's yourself that's making live content for your products, you can adjust this setting. You can send a certain link to affiliates where they're able to right there and then on the live to actively change the price of the product. Okay, so you give them a certain permission to, let's say, generally speaking, on TikTok video, just on TikTok in general, affiliates can sell the product, let's say 25%. No, excuse me. Let's say they sell the product at $25. Okay, that's the product price on TikTok. You essentially give the affiliate permission to sell it at $20. Okay. Or even less, whatever you decide. But essentially, you do this for a finite amount of time. This is what I mean by these. This is what, maybe this diagram makes more sense now. What this does, essentially, you have a certain countdown timer that takes place, where an affiliate activates this timer, where a customer can purchase the product at this price, at this time, for 10, 15, 20, whatever minutes. Generally speaking, if I had to give you a benchmark, 15, 20 minutes, I think, is very, very doable, very fine. And then you'll see, generally on the live, this is when generally speaking, the sales start to show up more. Okay, you get more limited sales here when the countdown timer is obviously off. There's a reason for that, obviously, because obviously the TikTok price is the same on the live as it is on other videos or on the product card, right? There's no further incentive. By having this live price, this helps to nudge people over the edge to think, oh, great, I can get this at a cheaper price. I can get it for $5 off right here and then. He's right. I've just looked at the product on Amazon. I've looked at the product on TikTok videos. Looks like it's more expensive there. I was thinking about getting it later. I'll get it now because it's cheaper. This is what the kind of psychological mindset we want to cultivate. Okay. And like I say, the countdown timer goes, then it stops, boom. Then a lot of times there'll be downtime in terms of the sales, etc. You want to keep it going. What you want to do is what I've seen a lot of successful brands, like for instance Physician's Choice, do is they run multiple flash sales in one live. Okay, so what they do is they run a 15-minute flash sale, ends, boom, that's it, done. They make it sound as if this is over, this is literally the only time to get it, but then 5, 10, 15 minutes, 10 minutes later or so, they activate a new flash sale. Okay, they automatically activate a new flash sale, boom, then the next flash sale goes on, and then it stops again, and so forth and so forth. Essentially, they're regurgitating the same script, the affiliate, the same stuff they're doing, including the flash sales. We don't need to worry about it sounding repetitive. I know that might be something in your mind, but think about it. Most people that might purchase a certain product, a lot of them are there just for like 1 or 2 minutes on the live. They're not there to hang around. They're not there to enjoy your beautiful live stream in that sense. It really depends on what you're doing on the live, obviously. But when it comes to product selling on TikTok, most people are there for 1 or 2 minutes. They check it out, boom, scroll past. Because, think about it. Would you generally stay on a live stream for an hour? Probably not, right? Most of us probably wouldn't do that. But you go on for 1 or 2 minutes and you've caught a new person. These are constantly new people that are being fed onto the live stream. So we don't need to, generally speaking, for 90% of the time, worry about repetition. And obviously when the more comfortable we get with lives, the better we can actually deviate from the script. We can handle questions, etc. So it makes it more of an interactive thing. It makes it more as a something where it doesn't sound like the same thing over and over, even though, it can certainly feel like that for the affiliates at times. For anyone who hasn't live sold, this isn't an easy way of going about it, by the way. It's not an easy job, I would say. It's a lot of time speaking, saying the same thing. It can be a bit boring, but what I do know is that it can certainly make a lot of money. So this is the reason why I wanted to bring this up, the live sales. If you haven't ever done this, you're struggling maybe with TikTok videos, maybe take some time to think about this one as well. Generally speaking, I would say that TikTok lives is better generally for brands that already have a bit of a presence, already have a bit of a word of mouth going about the product, that some people are somewhat aware of it. They've seen it maybe on a video here and there, and then they've moved past. This is what lives generally speaking is good, but it's not exclusive for that. If you've got, especially for instance, products that are great for showing great before and afters, for instance, we've spoken about, for instance, that in previous masterclasses, certain Hoover products, for instance, you can literally show that on a live. You can show no one's heard of the product before, but you can visually see how effective it is. If you've got these very visual kind of things, this can be really good for lives. And you can certainly start that out from the very get-go, from the very beginning. There's certainly a good chance of you making it work that way. If you're struggling with videos, certainly consider that. Well, guys, thanks a lot for everyone for your time here. I want to very briefly wrap up before getting into the Q&A. We've covered quite a bit of information here. In summary, we've talked about the SEO aspect of TikTok. I know we've talked a lot about content, how to improve your videos, your content strategy, and so forth. Don't neglect the product, the SEO aspect either. I know, bottom line, you're not going to get, generally speaking, hundreds of thousands, millions in sales just through a highly optimized, exceptional product card SEO. That's probably not going to happen. Okay. But it can certainly this isn't something that we need to be overlooking. This is we still need to represent our brands in a very professional way, in a way that drives attention still. There will still be people searching on TikTok, like in Google, supplement for digestive health, and then maybe your product shows up. It looks all professional, looks all good. It builds that further trust, and boom, that can be certainly the difference between people purchasing your product and not. And it will certainly help out as well. If you are being successful already, further improving this can certainly improve your sales even further. So I certainly wouldn't recommend neglecting over this. We've talked as well in terms of back-end issues as well. Please get this on point, guys. I've seen, like I say, I've seen certain horror stories when it comes to this, where people are going live, going viral. They're being successful on TikTok, so to speak. And then boom, all of a sudden, they're not able to handle all the demand because they've got certain supply chain issues. They've overlooked that aspect, and boom, all of a sudden they can't capitalize on that demand. Do you know how frustrating that is? You've got something that you've been working for months potentially to get things off the ground. All of a sudden you've got it working, then you can't capitalize on it. Then you have to wait. Let's hope it's a good case scenario that you can finish it. You can sort that out soon, and then you can get off and running again. But I've seen certain cases where they have to wait 60 days or whatever, sometimes even more, sometimes they get banned, whatever. And then all of a sudden you got a big problem on your hands where you can't capitalize on momentum. Momentum is your least of worries at that point. We've talked a bit about AOV as well. So like I say, I would generally discourage a kind of strategy where you're relying on just one product being sold, individual one product sold at a time. If we're starting out, I understand that we're looking to maybe we're gathering certain data. We're trying to actually find our hero product. There's certain things we're trying to figure out. I understand that. I'm saying in general, we want to be improving the AOV as much as possible. We want to be, if we can, bundling it up, get creative with it, get creative with the ways you're going to sell the bundle as well, okay? Because you need to be convinced, because if it's good, you're going to have a bit of a harder time selling more of the same product or more products in general. But if you can get this right, this can be certainly the difference between you being profitable or not when it comes to TikTok, okay? And then one of the final things I want to talk about, obviously the meta arbitrage, the halo effect. I would generally encourage to look at TikTok not as just the whole thing for your business. I've talked a lot about here and there about certain issues when it comes to TikTok that you can. There's a lot of restrictions, violations, and so forth. So this is the other reason, strategic reason as well, why we want to safeguard ourselves. But when it comes to a performance standpoint, by looking at TikTok more as a creative engine, which feeds onto other channels, looking at it more through an omni-channel lens, this can certainly be a very strategic way of actually making a lot of money for your business as a whole. And then finally, TikTok lives. Hopefully I've given you guys a good a basic fundamental understanding with TikTok lives, how to go about to give you an alternative method if you're struggling with your videos. And even if you're not struggling with your videos, maybe you're doing great, maybe you're winning, maybe you're doing very well with your videos, this can be certainly something else to explore as well. Different ball game, but if you can get it right, it can certainly be worth it. And thanks everyone for thanks everyone for your time here. Honestly, I really appreciate everyone's time here, for everyone who's been watching this presentation. I'm hoping I've given you guys some extra value here with TikTok. I do want to reserve these last few minutes. I've got a few minutes left to answer any questions that you might have. Off this presentation, if you've got any questions with regards to any topics or anything in general, if you're struggling with certain things, now's the time to ask, please.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go on.
Do you guys have a creator database of affiliates that specialize in lives?
That's a very good question. Creative database for lives. The way I would generally go about this is I would approach a similar way as how I would do it with videos. You can filter on certain tools. It depends on the tool that you're using, but on certain outreach tools like Cruver, Reacher, Yuka, etc., there are ways to filter for live streamers only. Alternatively, the way I would generally go about this is I would look at I'd look at certain products in my niche on platforms like Kalo Data, Fastmoss. Look at certain products on my niche and then find the better performing live streamers, and then personally give them outreach messages, give them the sales pitch, etc., the similar way as you would do through a video. For a video affiliates, that's the way I would go about it with lives.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Please let me know if you've got any other questions, whatever it may be. If you're struggling with anything, now's the time to ask. I can certainly give you some guidance or a second perspective at the very least.
I'm wondering if it's possible I'm being suppressed, because I've just started my TikTok, and I know that I don't have any followers and stuff yet, but I've been posting about 3 videos a day. I'm not sure if that's high enough volume. I just don't know, as opposed to Instagram, I don't know how you get viewers on TikTok. I thought if you posted videos, it just goes up in a general algorithm and people will view it.
That's a very good question. How many views in general are you getting on average for every video, Heather?
In between, well, when I first started posting, it was like 1,300, and now some of them are like 40, 50.
Okay, that's interesting. And how you say 1450? Is this through TikTok Shop?
Yeah, this is on my brand TikTok. Yes.
But are you adding a product, a TikTok Shop affiliate link or anything like that with any of the videos out of interest?
I'm adding the product link.
That's what I mean. Yes.
No affiliates.
Okay, no, that's fine. That answers my question. The 40-50 views, is this, are you talking with those videos? Are they generally videos that you've only recently uploaded, or is this 40-50 views like maybe videos that you posted like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, whatever?
On the recently uploaded.
Okay.
Like over the past few days.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I don't think you are getting suppressed, Heather. TikTok, what I will say, TikTok, I don't know how familiar you are with TikTok. a year ago or so, generally speaking, this wouldn't happen. But nowadays, what TikTok does, essentially, it can take a few days before it actually gives it the organic traction it sometimes deserves. So you'll certainly see certain videos when it's recently uploaded stick around like 40, 50, 20 views or whatever. And then all of a sudden it starts to get a few more views. I'm not saying it's going to go viral, but it can go up to 200, 300, whatever. It's basically it can get tested out at a later stage. So TikTok can certainly delay the time where it actually gives it a certain gives it the right chance that the videos deserve. This is just going by the information I've got already. If you've got this, is the reason why I was asking you if you're the 40, 50 video mark, whatever is of recent videos, or if it's of later videos. If you're getting views, videos from like a few weeks ago, still at 40, 50 views, might be something odd that is happening. Generally speaking, that's not the case, but if that is happening, I would still recommend carry on producing content on the account. I have seen it resolve itself at times. Generally, what I do think in general though, Heather, is that essentially there's no way to sugarcoat this. You need to be producing essentially better content that appeals more to the algorithm. Okay, that's essentially what it is. TikTok is very clever. Okay, I've worked with certain accounts of mine previously where I've wondered if I've got a certain issue with my account. No, it's just I needed to just produce better content. As soon as I produced one good piece of content, TikTok will know about it. It might take a bit of time, but TikTok will realize it, and TikTok will, if it's viral worthy, TikTok will figure it out. I wouldn't worry about that. 95% of the time that you don't need to worry about that. And in terms of videos that you're uploading on a daily basis, that's good. You know, I would generally recommend having a healthy amount of quantity and quality. That's all fine. But TikTok doesn't operate the same way as with Instagram. What I've seen with Instagram is that Instagram has a bit of I've seen accounts on Instagram where they essentially can piggyback off previous viral content or previous successful content from their account when whereas TikTok doesn't operate quite that same way. TikTok is very individualistic nowadays in terms of videos. So if you're a great account, it doesn't really matter if your previous videos were good or not. TikTok will look at that video individually. Is it worthy of going viral? If so, brilliant, I'm going to blow it up. If not, doesn't matter. I don't care. TikTok doesn't care how big you are, how small you are. You have equal opportunity in that sense. So all you need is basically one good quality video. Maybe if you're struggling in terms of producing that quality in terms of with the quantity you're doing, feel free to maybe in certain cases decrease the amount of videos and spending a bit more time in terms of the quality, in terms of finding something that is going to very much appeal to a certain trend, certain algorithm. That's a certain strategy you can certainly adopt.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. If you've got any follow-ups or whatever, feel free to let me know. I'm all ears at this point. Anyone else?
Well, if no one else has a question, I have a slightly connected but bizarre question about posting the videos. So I created my account about a few months ago and then wasn't paying attention to it as I set other things up. And when I came back to it, there had been a few videos posted. And I'm not sure from where. Have you ever had experience with this? It was like a video from our website or some content, and it had the descriptions from our website. I don't know if I have some AI thing turned on my Shopify that would make it automatically post to TikTok, but it was super weird. I deleted them, and I just don't know how these would have gotten posted. It posted like 4 of them. Have you ever encountered that?
No, that is very new. Are you sure no one else has access to your account?
No, just my assistant and one other, and they didn't post it. So we're trying to figure out if there's something turned on a back end that we're unaware of.
Yeah, that shouldn't be happening. And I've never personally gone through that issue either. what I would recommend is there's a certain setting on TikTok where you're able to see the devices that are logged into that account. I would check that as well. I would check to see if talk to your assistant as well, or whoever else has access to the account, see which devices are logged in, and then see if there's something that isn't corresponding there. If maybe there's an extra device, whatever, that could potentially be a reason for the extra video uploads. It might be, it might be an accidental thing. I'm assuming you're very, you're very careful in terms of the content that is uploaded, so that's probably not the case. But potentially be an accidental thing in terms of someone accidentally uploading something on TikTok. It's pretty difficult to accidentally upload a video because you need to go through a few steps in order to do it. But some people have done it in the past. Maybe I don't know, someone from assistant or whatever may have pressed a few wrong buttons. I don't think that's the case, but that could be possibly an option. But I've never seen anything where TikTok's uploaded or someone has uploaded content that wasn't authorized to be uploaded on someone's account.
It did seem like something that was automated, not a person, because the captions were directly pulled from our website and other content.
Do you actually have I can have a very quick look if my connection allows right now. Do you have a name of the account at all, so that maybe I can have a quick diagnosis right now?
Yeah, well, I took them down. I have a screenshot of what was happening, but I can. I don't know if you can see.
I'm not sure if you're. Are you able to? I'm not sure if you're able to share your screen. Oh, you're there. So could you move the phone a bit more to the camera? I think it's to the to your right, maybe. There we go. I think I can see it a bit better. Okay.
Oh gosh, I don't know how to get the background off. It's been stuck for weeks.
Yeah.
But it's it just posted the same video over and over. And it was
Can
muted.
You click on the video? Can you click on the video? Just so I can have a very brief look.
Oh, so that's just a screenshot because I deleted them as soon as I saw that they were up, I deleted them. But I took a screenshot to show my team and be like, who did this?
And was it something that was very well thought out, the video? Was it a
Yeah. I mean, it was a video from our website, one of our little product slides. It was a video from our product slides, and that's also on our Amazon, so it's fine. But it was just so bizarre because the captions were very much auto-generated, like pulled from something. And so it seemed like I have something turned on that auto-generated these posts without my knowledge.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's definitely an internal problem. I didn't know if you had a quick oh yeah, you've got this turned on your Shopify or something.
Yeah. No, I wish I could be of more use, Heather. I haven't personally seen that before, where TikTok has automatically just uploaded some sort of video. I haven't seen that. So I think maybe there was something accidental or someone else published it. It's the best thing that comes to mind. I don't want to put anyone in an awkward position or anything like that, but that's what will come to mind.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Michael, I think I saw that you had your hand up. Was there
I was just I was actually just going to relate to what Heather had said. We had a similar instance happen, almost exactly what she's describing with our TikTok account, the first 5 or 6 posts that were on our TikTok account were somehow generated. They were not generated by any of our staff. They were generated by some process, like when we set up TikTok Shop, and we left them up there because I was just scared. So, I mean, the reality is you could actually go look and see what it is, but it's exactly what she's sort of referencing. It took some.
Do you guys?
Pardon?
Yeah. Do you guys have you guys got any sort of software or anything plugged into your TikTok accounts aside from, I don't know, TikTok Seller Central, anything like that?
I mean, I don't think there's any plugins, with Shopify, but it took the first 4 posts that are on our TikTok account. The first 4, maybe 5, were they pulled images from our website and it posted up there. I mean, one of them tied music to it, so it's like one image of our product. So all I'm saying is that I can relate to what she's saying, because that I could almost verbatim is what she's saying happened to us.
Thank you. I'm so glad I'm not crazy. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, and it was like 5 or 6. We left them there. I'm like, just leave them, because we're not that concerned about it. But it's certainly not something we'd want to create. And it had views. Like, I don't know where it came from, but nonetheless, bottom line is, I'm just sort of saying that Heather, I could relate to it. It happened to us. I don't know why. Haven't been able to track it down. So that's it. That was just my 2 cents. I just wanted to say.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael.
Of course.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't seen that before, so that you know, there's something new to learn every day, I suppose. But yeah, I'll look into that one actually a bit more. I'm actually interested to see what's actually happening there. Yeah, that's very interesting. I think I've got time for one more question, by the way, guys. So if there's anything else out there maybe that you're struggling with, or any other questions, whatever, you know, can certainly help out at this point. But if not, no worries. Then thanks. Oh, I think I saw someone just for easy access.
Yeah, it was me. It was me. I just posted a little note here with direct access to the recordings. All of the recordings are always in the Kajabi community as well. I post them in there. But here they are for the last ones that Jason did, in case you need them. Also, of course, if you have any questions, please just feel free to ask anywhere. We'll see them. Jason will get them, and then in the next webinar we can also cover them.
Yep. Questions always welcome, guys. This is always very helpful. And yeah, guys, thanks a lot for your time, everyone, today, and Gabriella as well. Thanks for sorting this out as well. Like I say, hopefully I've given you guys with some value, some other insights, some certain points to think about for your TikTok businesses as well. But yeah, regardless, hope everyone here has a great rest of your day. I know it's Friday, moving on to the weekend soon, but yeah, thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Speak soon. Bye.